Peace, friends of refined investing. I think most investors are currently asking themselves the completely wrong question. Right now, we hear very, very often, so when will XRP go up again? When is the next bull run coming? Or when will Bitcoin reach its next all-time high? But the much more interesting question should actually be, what really went wrong? Because, I mean, if we're being completely honest, the crypto industry has pretty much tried everything over the past few years, right? We had NFTs, we had the metaverse, we had gaming, we had play to earn, we had yield farming, and every time it was like, this is going to be the future, this is the next big thing. This is going to get millions of users. This is going to completely replace the existing system. And I mean, today, out of all those narratives, practically none are left. Almost all of them have disappeared. And that's exactly why I find the current market phase so extremely interesting. Because maybe what we're seeing right now isn't the end of crypto. Maybe we're just witnessing the end of a lot of wrong ideas about how crypto should actually be used. And that's exactly where XRP, in my opinion, becomes extremely interesting. But I'd say let's get started. But before that, of course, a quick look at the crypto radar. Many of you will already know it, of course. It's basically coin market cap in German. That's what I'd call it. There are also features like the crypto ABC. By now, we've got over 1,000 terms in there. You're very welcome to try it out and complete the quiz below if you feel like it. Plus, if anyone's interested in a portfolio analysis or various packages, etc., you'll find all of that on the site as well. Definitely check it out. I'd appreciate it. The link is in the video description, but I'd say let's get started. And of course, feel free to leave a thumbs up in advance. For anyone who's new, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. But I'd say let's first take a look at the market. I mean, right now we're seeing something that's historically pretty rare in the crypto market. I mean, the fear is absolutely brutal. Many investors have already given up or are currently in the process of gradually leaving the market because they're fed up. Many projects are also slowly but surely disappearing from the scene, as you've already noticed, and some of the strongest sentiment indicators are now showing very similar values to back then, during the FTX collapse or the Terra Luna crash, or even during the pandemic times, etc. And what's interesting about this is that historically, it's exactly these kinds of phases that have often been the moments when the biggest long-term opportunities have arisen. Not because everything looked extremely good, but simply because no one wanted to hear about it anymore, and that's exactly where we are again right now. But now comes the real question. I mean, why have so many crypto projects, despite having good technology, never really managed to break through? Because if we're being honest, it often wasn't the technology that was the problem. Many projects were exceptionally well structured technically, in some cases constructed with near perfect precision. But the fundamental issue was something completely different. Most people just never had a real compelling reason to use any of it. And this is exactly where the error in thinking begins. Because, I mean, the industry has tried for years to sell blockchain directly to the end user, like in the form of a new wallet or a blockchain in general, new platforms, new applications. But I mean, if we're being completely honest, how often have you woken up in the morning and said, hey, today I really feel like using a blockchain? Probably almost never. Most people just aren't interested in blockchains in general. They're interested in results. On the one hand, they want their money to arrive, but they also want financial transfers to operate smoothly, market shares to be tradable without any issues, and apps to just run seamlessly. Most people simply aren't really interested in the technology behind it. And this is exactly where XRP comes into play again, because I mean, XRP was never built like a social media network, never like a game, not like any NFT marketplace. XRP was specifically engineered and designed to move value, provide deep liquidity, and efficiently ensure settlement. So precisely the things that this financial system actually needs. And that's exactly why XRP was often simply dismissed as boring in the past. A lot of people just didn't really follow it because, well, there wasn't some crazy, how should I put it, hype topic behind it that everyone was talking about with funny pictures or some cool platform that, let's say, was a bit more mainstream friendly. Now, here's one specific and insightful point from a recent interview that I found to be the most compelling, and it is the so-called connection layer. So just imagine two different and distinct worlds. On one side, we simply have the classic system, banks, stocks, bonds, funds, so regular payment networks. In other words, basically, as I said, the old financial world. And on the other side, for example, we have the blockchain, we have stablecoins, tokenization, digital assets, and now comes the crucial question. I mean, how do the trillions from the old world make their way into the new world? That's exactly where the real problem arises. So it's not about speed, not about fees, but about the connection. And this is exactly where many projects simply differ from each other. Ethereum, for example, has brought about an incredible number of innovations. Without Ethereum, the industry wouldn't be where it is today in 2026. But at some point, Ethereum just became this huge playground. Fresh ideas began to emerge, innovative projects were being created, and many successful projects even moved on to bigger things later. So Ethereum basically became a laboratory. XRP, on the other hand, became an infrastructure, and those are two completely different roles, which is why, especially in the coming years, I see XRP positioned much, much higher. Now it gets really interesting again because, I mean, many projects have tried to build a kind of new economy. Ripple, on the other hand, simply tried to connect an existing economy. At first, that might sound a bit less exciting, but it could simply be much more valuable in the long run because, I mean, the vast majority of the world's assets are still held outside of the blockchain. Whether we are talking about stocks, bonds, investment funds, physical real estate, or, for example, government treasuries, these are all things that are still currently running on the old financial rails. So the real battle in that sense is only just beginning. The whole process of restructuring, reconstructing all the outdated legacy systems, taking things from the 1970s and fully adapting them for 2026. I think, yeah, a lot of people simply aren't aware of that because, as I mentioned before, people often aren't interested in all the technical stuff behind it. They just want it to work. But that's also the main point, or the primary reason why people just know so very little about it or don't want to deal with it at all. They simply just want it to work perfectly. If it doesn't work, then that's just how it is, or then it's bad or whatever. But what you really have to understand is that something huge is coming our way in the next few years. And I mean, that's why suddenly everyone keeps talking about the same topics, namely stablecoins, tokenization, digital government bonds, institutional infrastructure, settlement, liquidity. I mean, 3 years ago, hardly anyone wanted to hear about any of that, right? Back then, it was more about ape pictures, NFTs, meme coins, and so on. I mean, today the discussions seem much more mature, and that's exactly where XRP now feels much more at home than before. And that's exactly why I also believe that the next crypto wave could look completely different. The last wave, I mean, was all about grabbing attention. The next one could now be much more about real utility and so on. So, not which coin will go up 20% tomorrow, but rather which platform will actually be used, which networks are moving real money, which systems are being used by banks and financial institutions. And that's exactly where things get really interesting. But my conclusion, I mean, maybe the biggest misconception in the industry was that blockchain should simply be a product for end customers. Perhaps blockchain should just operate quietly in the background, much like the internet, like servers, or like payment networks, simply invisible, but absolutely indispensable. And if that's exactly what happens, then projects that were considered boring for years could end up winning. You know what I mean? Projects that hardly anyone paid attention to, not because they had the biggest hype, but because they were simply built for use, for real usage. And that's exactly why I currently find XRP much, much more interesting than many of the trends that have come and gone relatively quickly in recent years. Of course, feel free to share your opinion about this in the comments. I mean, do you think the future of crypto will be more about infrastructure, or will end users eventually interact directly with blockchain? I'd definitely be interested to know. Feel free to share your thoughts about this in the comments. What's your current take on this? Or just in general, what's your opinion on how you perceive the market right now? Do you see the fear? Do you not really feel it? What's it like in your environment? And yeah, I think that's about all we have time for in today's video. We'll definitely catch up again in the next few days, and of course, make sure to cheer on the national team later. I really hope they win. Fingers crossed, and let's see how far we get. With that, take care and see you in a few days. Peace, peace.